Okay, so parent traps are things that we do for lots and lots of reasons, and every single parent in the whole world falls into some of these. The ones I'm going to look at, I think I've personally sampled all of them. Some of us have firm favourites. You know, parenting is about habit as much as anything else, and some of us have a few traps that we fall into more often than others, and some of us do all of them. The first one, when we have limited time with our children, it can create pressure for that time to be special, to be nice, to be conflict-free, all of those kind of things. And the problem with that is, of course, it's completely unrealistic and it leads to disappointment, because nobody spent an entire day with a small child without somebody crying. And not always the child, you know, it's not possible to do that. So if that's what we expect and want, we are going to be disappointed. It also leads quite often to conflict between parents, because if you have one parent who's doing that everything has to be nice special time, you normally have a bit of a vacuum that the other parent gets sucked into, and they have to do the no, these are the boundaries, and no, it's not going to be like that, and picking up the pieces side, and that can cause conflict between parents as well. So that it leads to other traps as well. Often when we want conflict-free time, that leads to us relaxing boundaries and limits, doesn't it? Because inevitably, enforcing limits and boundaries with children involves some sort of conflict. It's almost impossible for that not to happen. The problem with that is children learn through consistency. Consistency is a really key aspect of how children learn. If you think about how children learn, like about key principles of the universe, something like gravity, children do not learn about gravity because we explain it to them, do they? I couldn't, to be honest, explain gravity very well if I tried. How do children learn about gravity? They throw things off their high chair, indeed. They throw things, they drop things. And they do it again and again and again and again. And they go through a phase where that seems to be all they do. Yeah? Big things, small things, blue thing, green thing, heavy thing, light thing, round thing, square thing. All of that is basically working out, where is the rule that tells me what's happening here? Oh, the rule is it doesn't matter any of those other properties, they all fall. Bingo, I understand gravity. That's how children learn. Now imagine if sometimes it didn't fall, it hovered. Now, do you think children would go through that phase faster, or do you think they'd keep dropping things for longer? Longer, because the rule would not be clear and they would need to find out. Does it hover on a Wednesday? Does it hover when mummy's smiling? Does it hover? All of those things would have to keep going to understand what is the rule. And that's the thing about consistency, because children kind of interact with us as part of their environment. And when we're inconsistent, they don't understand that. So it actually increases that behaviour. That behaviour tends to get repeated because the rule isn't apparent. So sometimes Daddy lets me fall asleep on the sofa to the telly. Other times I have to go to bed. Well, actually, I'm going to keep asking for one of those because it's not clear to me what the rule is. So consistency is really important. So accidentally, we tend, with this trap, to end up with more difficult behaviour rather than less. So, and we often end up, the relaxing limits and boundaries is a bit of a trap, because in the end, we decide we can't go any further, don't we? We all kind of think, oh, I'll let it go, I'll let it go, I'll let it go. And then we get to the point where we just can't let it go anymore, and we go whoosh, and we explode. Or, you know, we do something which isn't particularly helpful, yeah? So by not enforcing boundaries, we often back ourselves into a corner where we act inappropriately and the children keep doing that behaviour. The opposite can also be true, though, from relaxing. Working parents, we're really efficient because we know we haven't got much time. So we go home in the evening. It's kind of like, I've got half an hour. I'm going to do all my parenting in half an hour. You know, what did you do at school today? What do you need to tell me? What have you got for homework? You know, what have you got to... And we try and pack it in. But what we're packing in is, what have you done wrong that I need to know about and correct you? And we get into that kind of policeman mode where we're seeing our job as correcting our children and kind of stopping them doing things. And that's not a lot of fun to be on the other end of. It's not a lot of fun to be on either end of, really, that one. And it leads to us often ignoring what children are doing right. Because we're being efficient and we're seeing parenting as a correcting procedure, we kind of ignore what they're doing right. Or we're just too busy. Those of you who've got more than one child, you'll recognise this one. You know, when they're playing nicely, for once, Nobody's hitting anybody. They are not bickering over a game or a remote control, and you're at home. What do? Oh, just go and do something, because we've got so much to do. So we go and start dinner or make a phone call or whatever, and the children get no attention for it. Now that's really a trap, because attention motivates children enormously. You are all superheroes. You know, they ask you that question, what's your superpower, mummy? What's your superpower, daddy? Well, your superpower is attention, because children love it. They come alive in your attention. You are their world. You are their universe. And when you don't pay attention to their behaviour, they kind of, whether consciously or not, go, well, I won't bother doing that again, because it didn't get me my lovely payoff, which is that beam of wonderful attention that I get, that I love from my mum and dad. Yeah? But when one of them hits the other one over the head with a heavy object, then we go in, big attention, high intensity attention, really big, and they're like, wow, look what happened. I can do that again and make that happen. That's fantastic. Yeah?
Is there a flip side to that? Okay, my baby was only 8 months old, but so probably it's not a good example, but he gets really upset if he doesn't have the entire attention of my wife.
Is the question that, can we give them too much attention?
Yeah, okay, he's too young at this age, but maybe it gets to an age where they need to play a bit more on their own.
There is. At 8 months old, it is extremely common for a baby to be going into separation anxiety kind of phases, in which case they do not want to be separated in any way, and they do want, and some children can be very, very clingy in that stage. So developmentally, that's a perfectly appropriate thing for them to do. When they come out the other side of that, then yes, they do need to learn independent play. But independent play can still be reinforced by attention. So in this scenario, when we've got 2 children playing, what we could do is go in and say, oh, well done. You're playing by yourselves really nicely. That's fantastic. I love it when you do that. I'm just going to go and put the kettle on, and I'll come back. And if you're still doing it, then I'll sit down and play with you, whatever it is. So we reinforce the behaviour using attention, but without them requiring the attention to do the activity. There's a difference. Was that clear?
Yeah.
Or we can do parallel parenting, where there's 2 people involved, but it's just kind of like never ever actually meet together. Is that okay? It wasn't me, I promise. Or autopilot, this is one of my bad ones. You're in the house, you're physically present, but you're not really in any way available to them. You're kind of doing other stuff, whether it's ridiculous things on your phone or, cooking dinner, washing up, and they come to you and say, oh, look at this, not now, I'm busy. That's an easy one to fall into when we've got so much to do. Or negative thinking. When our children are going through difficult behaviour, when we're stressed because we don't have enough time, it's really easy to kind of imagine and picture them in particular ways that are negative. Oh, he's so stubborn. Oh, she's always doing that just to annoy me. We can kind of get into habits of thinking which are not particularly helpful. Do any of those look familiar? Is it just me? Does everybody recognise something up there? Yeah? Now, the purpose of putting that up is not to make you feel bad, because all parents do these things, okay? And parenting is about reflecting and thinking, what am I doing at the moment and what is the effect of that? And thinking, is there something else I could be doing and would I get a different result from that? So it is about reflecting and thinking, could I do a little bit less of certain things?